Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to try gravity dyeing a diamond shape or a diamond pattern. I'm going to begin by centering the shirt, and this process is going to go really fast, but I have a link down below in the description for this video to another video which shows how to center a shirt. Basically what I'm doing is I'm getting both halves of the front of the shirt next to each other and both halves of the back of the shirt up next to each other. That way, whenever I apply the dye to either the front or the back of the shirt, the front is going to look more similar, both halves of the front, and both halves of the back are going to look more similar to each other as well. Now that the shirt is centered, I need to tie my diamond design. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the shirt in half just to see where the middle of the shirt is. I actually want my diamond center to be a little bit above the middle of the shirt. Usually I place it not too far below the armpit of the shirt. I'm going to use a washable marker and make a mark where I'd like for the center of my diamond to be. Then using a straight edge so that I get a nice crisp seam, I'm going to fold the hem of the shirt up to the top of the shirt. Then I'm going to use my straight edge and my washable marker and draw a diagonal line on the shirt, forming my diamond pattern. This is the line that I'm going to use to fan fold. Once I have this line fan folded, I'm going to hold the folds in place with some kite string. You can use sinew if you would like to have some white definition marks or lines in your design. I personally just want to hold the folds in place. I don't really want the definition lines. I'm going to straighten my folds on either side of this initial line, and I'm going to use the kite string to the right of this fold or going toward the center of the diamond, and then just a little ways I'm going to tie with kite string on the other side of the diamond. I want to leave a large portion of that shirt left untied. That's what I'm going to gravity dye. I tied this shirt while it was raining outside, so I wasn't able to take it outside and gravity dye it immediately. The next day when I got to it, it was already mostly dry, but this is a design that can be dyed while it's still damp. I'm going to do several shades of like blue and tealish type colors for this diamond. I'm also going to do the gravity dye process outside. So I have a metal shelving unit which I've placed outside underneath my trees, and I have the shirt laying on the shelving unit with the gravity dyed portion of the shirt hanging over the edge. I'm going to begin by applying blue linen from dye spin to the very end or the center of the diamond. Next, I'm going to apply teal blue from dye spin, followed by sky blue from Dharma, celadon from Dharma, and royal blue from Dharma. Now I'm going to add an additional sprinkle of dry soda ash over the top of the dye, and I'm going to place on some pretty large ice cubes, which I've made in some silicone ice cube trays. In the past, I've used my silicone cake molds and made an ice barrier around gravity dyes, but recently I found that it's just almost as easy to use the larger ice cubes. They don't melt quite as fast as the little chunks of ice, and they actually stay on the shirt pretty well. I say that as I'm having trouble keeping these ice cubes on the shirt. I've included some process photos so you can see how the dye moved down the shirt as the ice started to melt. So after these ice cubes melted, I came back and I actually added a couple of larger chunks of ice to the top of the shirt. These I made in some sort of ice cream containers, and I couldn't get the ice out of the containers, so I just turned the containers upside down on top of the shirt. I've also included a process photo showing my setup. I am dyeing this shirt at one end of this shelving unit, and I'm actually doing a muck dye on the other end of the shelving unit. Once the ice in the larger containers went ahead and melted, I came back and I had one area of undissolved dye kind of in the middle of the shirt, and my color wasn't totally down to the end. So I added one more of the large chunks of ice to that dye that was left undissolved. I also sprayed the part of the shirt that was hanging down to gravity dye with a little bit of soda ash solution that I had in a spray bottle, just to keep it from drying out. Then, after all of the ice melted, I left the shirt outside overnight and part of the next day. So it really processed for probably about 24 hours after all the ice melted. Then I took it inside and I began rinsing it with cold water to rinse out the soda ash. I went ahead and untied the shirt, warmed the water up to hot, and continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Then, after rinsing it hot for a little while, I went ahead and ran some really hot water in my utility sink, added some Blue Dawn dish detergent to the water, and just allowed the shirt to soak. After the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. And if you're familiar with rinsing out blues, sometimes that can take a while. Don't get discouraged. I think that blues are some of the hardest colors to get fully rinsed out of a shirt. But once my water was almost clear, I went ahead and put the shirt along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent into my washing machine, and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so I've washed, dried, and ironed the shirt, and let's see how it looks. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one turned out pretty cool. So, I've been doing this series of Will It Gravity Dye, and this is the first time I've done a gravity dyed diamond. And I actually think the process works really well for a diamond. Of course, it doesn't have that perfect, edge of the diamond because the dye flow just kind of is very irregular right there. But I think that makes it look really cool. I think if you wanted maybe a more defined line, you could use a little bit of sinew right on that outer edge. That would give you the more definition of the diamond. But I like it like this because I love dye flow. So I like how it just flows from one color into the next color without a whole lot of definition. Now, the one thing that I did notice is, the front of the shirt looks pretty much the same. And the back of the shirt, the bottom part of the diamond is a little bit darker because that's where I actually applied the dye. So remember how when I was talking about centering a shirt, how whenever you apply the dye or you do anything, both halves of the front of the shirt are going to look more similar, and the same thing with the back. If you'll notice, both halves and all the parts of my front of the shirt look just about the same. Both halves of the back of the shirt look the same too, but the bottom portion is just a little bit darker because I quartered the shirt after I went ahead and centered it. Because remember, after the shirt was centered, I folded that bottom portion of the shirt up, which basically folded the shirt in quarters, so 4 sections. But I don't necessarily think that looks bad, and thankfully it is on the back of the shirt, not the front of the shirt. So I think this shirt looks cool, and I think the gravity dye works really well with the diamond pattern. But what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed watching the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.